Hello and welcome to an all-new Marvel cast, Explosion Network's hub of all things Marvel, a place to talk about everything MCU and beyond, from Avengers and Defenders to Mary Walker and Butch Farris. My name is Ashley Hobley, the Explosion Network's resident Lucky Pizza host. Joining me today, Old Swinker and Martian.
Merry Christmas, everyone, and welcome to this year's edition of Home Alone. Instead of mousetraps and swingy-majigs, arrows. Lots of arrows.
And the astonishing Dylan Blight.
Wonder if you could watch this on the yearly as a Christmas thing, and if it would hold up. Maybe.
I think it would.
Find out next Christmas. So today we're talking about the finale to Hawkeye. There's no confirmation if there's a second season or anything, so is it the finale to the miniseries? I don't know. But yes, we're talking about this week's episode. So this is Christmas, directed by Rhys Thomas, written by Jonathan Igla and Elisa, Climent. Clint and Kate's partnership is tested as they face the consequences of exposing the conspiracy. Ciaran, what do you think of this last episode of Hawkeye?
I think overall this episode was really interesting. I think it had some very interesting choices made. I think the opening where, going into it, you think, how does she kind of uncover everything about her mum? And then it's like, this handy opening scene. They've watched it all on a pixelated video from their phone. Sweet. Even though last week, I think all we had on the screen was like what looked to be a picture. So that evolved into a video.
No. Last week was like how the YouTube video thumbnail thing? Yeah.
Oh, it's a thumbnail, right? Okay.
It's just like this. Obviously, they've got to have a screenshot of like what's in the video, halfway through, not at the very start. Even though the angle of the video actually makes no sense for the picture. But yes, continue.
I think overall episode was really good. I'm annoyed with them for how much Look, I ate some humble pie in this episode. They made Vincent D'Onofrio like an even better Kingpin. Like his Kingpin was got MCU-ified. Even though he got he was still the same, acting the same way. He still got that even more. His strength seemed to be pumped up even more. Aspects of his character seemed even more larger than life. And then the motherfuckers might have killed him already, and that probably not because it happened off camera, but. I was rather annoyed by that because they made me really like this version of him and look forward to seeing him interact with Spider-Man or seeing him interact with Daredevil. And now that might not be off the table, and that's frustrating. I think the fight between Yelena and Clint was very heartfelt and had the right level of kind of emotion between both Yelena and Clint themselves. Dude, ice rinks can take a lot of shit. That ice rink, other than having a tree over it, was in good nick considering there was explosions happening on it and a whole bunch of other things happening.
That ice rink, I believe, is around 356 days a year. It's
66. Wow.
Even 56.
At least it's 66. I was going, fuck.
They gotta pump all the fluids or whatever to make sure it's icy all year round. It's probably deep and thick.
Okay.
I don't know how to describe ice.
Hawkeye's continued access to PIM particles slightly continues to annoy me. But I guess this was a different PIM particle this time because he had a shrinking one, not an enlargement one. But no, and I really enjoyed Hailee Steinfeld continually through the series. But I think in this episode, especially her and Yelena's fight scene through the floor, their banter's great. I'm excited to see more of them together, whether that be in a movie or another TV show. But I think this sets up and leaves off in a fairly good place for these all the characters involved.
Dylan, what do you think?
I'm not sure if this is now my second favorite or first favorite. Because I just watched it, so I may put it over WandaVision eventually. But either way, it's either second or first. I've just gotta sit on it for a while. But I think ultimately, I was as soon as the episode finished, I was like, oh, every episode was good and I didn't hate the finale. Well, that automatically is I was like, it didn't turn into a big CGI fuckfest, my favorite descriptive word for Marvel. Shit.
They got real people to get taken out.
They
real
did.
people to
The
get fucked up.
tracksuit mafia really stepped up their
their
personnel.
recruitment's been very good, yeah.
Yeah, they must have really
They had a
pulled
lot
out
of goons there, but
They're like, hey, free tracksuit.
that scene was entertaining, and the way it was all shot, like the changing of the arrows meant that, unlike if you have someone like Thor who's just hitting people, so having multiple arrows means that you have different ways of taking out the villains. Anyway, I want to focus just on that scene. Ultimately, I think it was a very, very good episode. I think most of the stuff that people cared about was paid off. I think the stuff that was most important was paid off. The stuff that I cared most about, obviously the relationships between the core characters that have been set up throughout the last few episodes is the most important thing. So just having to see the Elena payoff with Clint and that conversation, that got me a bit teary, nearly teary in that by the end of it when they're talking and, she does the whistle. I was like, oh, that's a bit of a... he does the whistle, sorry, a bit of a heart-stringy moment. Then we go to having her, Kate make that moment for her mum. I feel like that's a big, sort of superhero. It's not a big, moment for, a kick-ass action scene, but I think, her, calling the cops on her mum and, doing what's right sort of, solidifies. And I think that was a very cool moment. And then, obviously, them just having... When Hawkeye's getting all the presents out of the car, and then I'm like, oh... she's alone for Christmas. After all that sucks. And then they baited me because then he's like, you coming or whatever? I was like, and the dog, let's go. So,
can I say, about the police rocking up, I was like, so wait, you're telling me the police aren't rocking up for this giant war that just happened outside the Rockefeller Center, but just randomly to arrest this one lady? Sure. Okay, guys.
Ciaran, it's the night before Christmas. They broke into a toy store. That takes priority.
I'm pretty sure if you saw an Avenger fighting people...
Have you not watched Home Alone 2?
I'm pretty sure there's an unwritten rule now, if there's an Avenger involved in something, that the cops would probably just get told to stay back until, it's a thing. It's not like it was random people. It's Hawkeye there. He's been around for a million years in the MCU at this point. But yeah, overall, I really, really enjoyed it. I think the series overall was 6 very solid episodes. I don't think there was a particularly weak point. I loved all the payoffs and stuff. I think the stuff that you don't get full payoffs for is sort of fine because, again, I treat these things like this is season 26. I'm like, well, I'd like some more about Maya. I feel like I could use a little bit more, but obviously it's a setup. I already know that she's getting her own series. I've known that since this series started, so I can't be that disappointed about that. Now, that'd be the one thing I was sort of irked about. I felt like I needed a little bit more time with her this episode because she has been such an integral part of the show. But otherwise, I think it was very, very good.
Yeah, I like the episode as well. I think there's obviously a lot of good stuff in there. Like you said, all of the fight scenes and the setup of the final confrontation between Tracksuit Mafia and Kingpin and Mayor and Kazi. Yeah, that's it.
Kazi, yeah.
Kazi. Yeah. I loved how they used the Kingpin in this. I think I loved how they shot the Kingpin, where pretty much any scene with him is shot from a low angle going up and then kind of from a higher angle from behind and that kind of thing to kind of make him look bigger and more imposing and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I kind of wish they had have explored a little bit more of that and why Hawkeye was so worried about the Kingpin before. There's a lot of stuff that I wish they had have answered.
Here's my argument. And here's my problem with this whole Kingpin thing. Let me just put it. Let's just dive straight to Kingpin.
Kingpin, yeah.
You all want to talk about it. I guarantee everyone on Twitter, after this episode, everyone's just going to be focusing on Kingpin, which I'm going to be honest, slightly annoys me as one of the problems with MCU stuff where it's this, the show is built around this, at a heart, there's a really cool thing about Clint dealing with the trauma of the loss of his best friend and then sister wanting revenge. It's all these really cool stories. And ultimately everyone's going to come together at the end of the day and go, oh, but I either did or did not like the way that they treated
Kingpin.
Fucking Kingpin. I'm like, fuck Kingpin. To a degree, he was introduced at the last end and Ciaran's getting played even though he watches wrestling. Like, come the fuck on. Can you not see a fucking... If the camera literally pans off screen, you hear gunshot, right? It's like the lights went out in the fucking stadium. Like, it's a fucking work, right?
I mean,
thing is, right,
it's not. It's even worse because we know there's an Echo TV show coming.
Right. I don't want to, like, if you don't want to know something, people listening, skip ahead like a minute or whatever. But so the other week when I was Googling Maya and whatever, because I don't know anything about Echo, I come across this storyline that's in the comics where she literally shoots Kingpin, right? So I'm saying,
it's crazy, know this, and the Kingpin died, and then, the whole world moved on,
look,
right?
Okay,
I definitely did 30 not seconds. I'm going to say it just for the sake of this, because like I've been sitting on this for a week or two since I've seen this, and now that they've done it in this, automatically my brain's just thinking of what I saw a week or so ago. So skip ahead 30 seconds if you don't know what happens. But in the comics, she shoots Kingpin, he goes blind. He's blinded for like a whole run of comics or whatever else. He like has a bandage, whatever. He barely survives, but then he gets, I don't know, they magically fix his eyes because comic books, blah, blah, blah. But that's sort of what happens. She shoots him point blank with a gun in the comic books for revenge, and then he goes blind. So presuming he'll just come back blind if they're following a similar sort of path.
I think it would be more interesting if he shot like right next to his ear or something.
Yeah, so he goes
It's like
deaf.
2 gunshots, right?
No, it was one.
It was just one?
It was just one.
Fuck, they fucked it up. They should have done 2.
But it's a work. The camera pans up. It's like 101
yeah, it's
of
totally.
No, the thing is, right, it's a work, and I, look,
I'm pretty sure Kingpin could take a bullet, though.
Yes, Kingpin could take a bullet considering he took an arrow.
He took an arrow, that's the point. They show you that he's...
He didn't stop being an adventurer after that, but, like, I don't know, it's just, I don't want to take the fun out of it that...
that he's dead?
Like, I don't want to take the fun out of it by being like, yeah, but he's not dead. Like, I like buying into it. It's the same shit as wrestling. Wrestling, I know how wrestling works from the backside of it. I'm that much of a mark, but at the same time, buying into shit is still...
I mean, it made you believe. It made you believe that she really killed him, so...
I didn't believe him. I'm saying, like, I knew it's one way or another. Like, it's just, like...
I mean...
But the thing
people
is, like,
are going to be pissed, but... Like,
my frustration, from my point of view, my frustration's a good thing. Because it's a good thing that I'm frustrated that I really liked that character and there's a possibility that character won't be...
But that's the thing, like... So, I like Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin. And I like him in this. I always liked him in Daredevil. Did you watch all 3 seasons of Daredevil, Ciaran, or no?
2 seasons. I never watched the 3rd one. Or I maybe started the 3rd one and then fell off.
Okay, well, you watched the good one, the shit one, and didn't come back to watch a very good finale.
Yeah.
But you're either going to have people that really like him in this or don't like him. At the end of the day, my answer to all this is going to be, you're going to see more. Like, he is 100%, I'll fucking put money on it now, coming back in some form or fashion. They literally... Now, skip ahead 30 seconds if you don't want, like, a first 20 minutes of Spider-Man fucking...
I didn't even say first.
I really wanted to avoid, like...
I'm not doing major... No, I think I have to at this stage. Like, skip ahead 30 seconds. I'm just going to say it. They just put Daredevil in that movie, right? So, I'm not going to say it any more from this point, but if you know who we're talking about, you know who we're talking about. There's no way they don't have that, and they don't have Kingpin come back... just for no fucking reason with 0 plans to have those characters come back in some form or fashion. So, like, if you love him in this and you're disappointed that you want more from him, you're going to get it. If you hate him in this because you didn't get enough, you're going to get more from him. And it'll just be in fucking Echo. It'll be in what I hope for the next Spider-Man movie, which is just a bigger like small town crossover where you could have Daredevil and Spider-Man team up and they're taking down, and have Black Cat and all that sort of shit. That's what I want. Like, get into that more like singular focus New York sort of shit. That's what I want, and that's the route they can go. That they're bringing in these Netflix characters or whatever. But yeah, I swear to God, if I go on Twitter later, it's just everyone talking about fucking Kingpin and not the actual show. I'm like, this is the problem I had with Spider-Man. This is my problem. It's all about the reveals and the moments, not the actual story.
Yeah, people love the nostalgia. It's like they feed off of it.
There is a decent... The thing is, right, they've built the MCU partly off that, right? There is always that... And I don't think it's a gimmick that's worn off.
It didn't at first.
I still think they do though. I still think it goes all the way from ever since
Nick Fury showed up.
Nick Fury showed up. Like it's. I think part of the thing you do is you watch a Marvel movie expecting to be excited by the sections. Like you say, watching the original Ant-Man, people weren't really expecting there to be an Avenger show up in that movie, but then we have Anthony Mackie as
Falcon. He was called Falcon.
Falcon. I was going to call him Hawk.
People weren't expecting him. Falcon. People weren't expecting him in Ant-Man, and people didn't expect Nick Fury to show up, and people didn't know what to expect. At one stage, people didn't know what an after-credit scene would entail and, like, what it would be. And we used to get these, like, 2-second things of, like, Thanos teased out for years. And now I feel like they've almost given too much, where now if an after-credit scene isn't, like, really good, or there isn't a big character crossover,
it doesn't progress the story forward.
People are disappointed. No, how's that affect the movie overall? That's my point. Like, why does a cameo or crossover or an after-credit scene have to relate to the overall movie or TV show's quality in the first place? You know? Like, a cameo is a cameo and after-credit's an after-credit. Like, focus on what you're making in the first place. They used to just make these things and then be like, what's a fun little after credits we can make? Or imagine if we had like a purple dude sitting on the fucking throne for 5 seconds.
The thing is,
imagine the next movie he puts his hand in the gauntlet and goes, I'll do it myself. And that's all we got for years.
But the thing is, we don't get that at all anymore. When was the last after credit scene that largely meant something? Really? Like,
Still
unless
early
you
days.
Look, okay,
Shang-Chi,
still early
yeah.
days. Hawkeye does have probably the biggest and most important post-credit scene
I
that
think
we've
so.
seen for quite some time.
Save it in a bit, yeah.
So maybe you get some hits, you get some misses, and you just take what you can get, really.
All right. So I guess let's wheel it back to, obviously, we start the episode with, her freaking out. They start planning. They start building they're planning for the big holiday party that everybody's going to go to. And they, making some trick arrows, putting some teasers out there. Somehow he's got some Stark tech as well. That kind of stuff. That was cool. I think one of my things with Echo is she turns on the Kingpin, like, really quickly. Like, she wants out.
I don't think she ever liked the Kingpin.
No.
I never took it. She had a love.
I think she liked the Kingpin. The thing for me was the moment she left the room, Kingpin being like, "She's turned on us. We need to deal with her now." I'm like, what? Like, I get it.
He's got intuition.
He can tell she's full of shit. You can't lie to Kingpin, you know.
Even if it's through an interpreter.
That's what I was like, lying via sign language. That's impressive.
I mean, maybe people with sign language can't lie very well. Yeah, see it in their face. These ticks that they can't see.
Talking about ticks, fucking his face, where you could tell he was ready to just like absolutely break everything in that entire room. Like he's like little, like you could. I don't know how he was doing that. Do you not notice this? At all stages, his eye was like constantly like twisting and like there's a little muscle under here like just moving unnervingly. Like you could tell he was super angry this entire time.
That, and also will say, costume design and choices for Kingpin is like top tier. You know,
yeah. Who doesn't love white suit jacket, Hawaiian shirt?
I'm glad it's not just the boring white suit jacket plus like a normal.
He was getting into the Christmas spirit.
Yeah.
So they go to the holiday party. They recruited all the LARPers to come help them out, work as servers and that kind of thing. And everything goes to shit when Kazi, despite his target being Kate Bishop's mum, decides, hey, I'm going to start shooting at Hawkeye. Fuck this. I know I've got one person I need to kill, but and I probably got only one opportunity to take the shot, but fuck it. Hawkeye. Go take the guy out.
The other thing I was going to say quickly is I'm so glad that they have the LARPing crew in the finale included, because it really made everyone throughout this entire series feel like no one was like a random episode throwaway character. Like everyone sort of came back and did something. And and again, we kept talking about how well the show treated LARPing as like a nerdy type thing. You know?
Yeah, they get to save everybody at the end. You know.
Well, the thing is, right? Nobody started listening to them until they put their LARPing armor on. And then they're in a position
they're
of
like,
power.
oh, these guys look like they're Asgardian or something, yeah.
True. I don't know what difference it made. He put the armor on and he's like, I can pick up little kids and carry them away now.
I did laugh. I was like, it's like a nerdy LARPing Warriors 3. Excellent. We're going all the way back to Thor.
Yeah, cool. So we get bits and pieces. Jack is free from prison, got out somewhere, and so it's the best way to get to this holiday party is to have a giant sword sticking from my leg, even though I was accused of murdering someone with a sword.
I'm glad that's part of the show, though. It's not just like a random thing that we made fun of after. They literally go.
Yeah.
Hawkeye goes, weird. Bold decision, but respect it. Like, whatever.
Man, I've turned on Jack. I love him.
How crazy is the turn? Instantly when he's on screen in this episode, like, you instantly like him more. His writing makes you like him more. Just his character's presence and acting is better.
His interaction with Armand the Seventh, the little kid.
Yeah.
And like, everybody remembers when you peed your pants. Everybody remembers.
It's just the ... Everyone remembers. It's funny. Because it's good. He was really good in this because once we understood where he was, and I was like, oh, I'm allowed to sort of like this guy.
Yeah,
and
he was a misdirect.
And it was also Tony Dalton just being a bit more Tony Dalton. And I think I've already said, like, if you watch Better Call Saul, he is the bad guy in that show at the moment, like the lead villain. And I totally want someone to kill him. However, he is very likable because he plays a very charming sort of villain at the same time, where he does rather silly things like he does in the show at times, and you're like, fuck, you are a bad guy. But so it was good to see him do similar sort of weird, like, sort of character things in this that I'm used to seeing from him.
Yeah, absolutely. So Kate pulls her mum aside. She's like, hey, I know everything. Check out this video. Why? So it turns out his mum has been working for the Kingpin this entire time. Because her dad repaying a debt, which he paid 10 times over. It's like Kingpin,
which her dad had,
her father
built up,
which had kind of been seeded that he was like having money problems, like in the first episode. With obviously, that's what they're fighting about at the start of the series.
It did add up episodes ago. I was like, oh, I can't wait for some bad thing to be revealed about her dad, because there was always, you sniff it out. There's always something.
The thing
bad.
is, you don't know if it's a bad thing by her dad. Her dad might have just used.
He might have been gambling for all you know. It could have been
gambling, or he might have used bad money to try and do something good with it. Like,
I
guess we don't know the circumstances around her father still.
This is obviously 10 years ago or something. At this, don't want to get into the timeline stuff again. It's like
Marvel, to this degree, like whenever they have these things happen to characters, they never, and I think they've sort of learnt their lesson, is unless they really need to, they never bother like really filling in so gaps. They can leave it for something else in case they want to tell that full story or have it be part of the character story.
Yeah, so, after the shots are fired, everything goes to shit. Hawkeye decides he's going to go down several floors to try and draw the fire away from the people in the party. Meanwhile, Yelena's obviously come in, scouting everybody. Kate sees her leave to follow Clint. And they both, have some fun banter. Go on the elevator. Yelena is just kind of annoyed that she's getting in the way. Just everything about this was fun.
This is great. Watching this scene, I'm like, oh, I'm so glad that these two are sort of the future of the MCU, or a main part of the future of the MCU, because there's so much good chemistry back and forth between the both of them. But also, random just side thing, because I rewatched Elf a couple days ago, for the Christmas spirit, and that moment where she pushes all the buttons on the thing. There's that moment in Elf where he first gets into the elevator, and Will Ferrell's like, press the lights up, all the things. He goes, oh, it's a Christmas tree. I was like, wait. I was like, oh, I could have said that, and it would have been a weird throw in line, but.
Yeah, and then obviously we get that fight through the floor, which was beautiful, like dolly shot, like across several rooms.
I think that was a lot of edited together to make it look like it was one shot.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. Well, it could have been like on a set, but yeah, it definitely did have that edited feel, especially the very last transition. I think didn't quite fit.
Well, they cut away a couple times from that and then went back to it instead of just letting the one scene roll out across the single shot. So I think it made it just a little bit jankier and a little bit more obvious that it wasn't exactly one shot.
Yeah. Yeah, and they compliment each other at the end, like talking about how hard they hit each other, and then once again, Helena jumps out a window. Kate's like, this seems like a good idea. And takes, a bolo? Holds it as tight as possible.
Can I say, there is some shit in Marvel movies that I'm like, alright, suspend disbelief for a second. This one I was like, this is so hard for me to believe she didn't just break her legs. Like,
yeah, I think she was going a bit too fast. They should have slowed her down in the special effects slightly, because I was like, oh wow, her legs are broken.
Yeah, it's like, oh, her knee is through her head right now. Okay, interesting.
Yeah,
and there's not really an excuse because it's special effects. So I'm like, someone should have watched this and gone, can we make it land a little bit slower because it's a bit fast? But yeah.
No, yeah, she comes down pretty quick. Lesson learned, though. Maybe this isn't the best way to get out of a building. So meanwhile, the tracksuit mafia is coming in around, taking out everybody. They attack Clint in where his hidey hole thing. He's got a whole bunch of explosives ready.
Sorry, I feel like for this scene onwards, we need to upgrade the tracksuit mafia to either the tracksuit militia or tracksuit military. Because
tracksuit army,
yeah, tracksuit army as well. Like there is.
I don't know. That might be taken. I feel like that's a K-pop thing.
Also, I don't know if this was a running joke for that entire show, and I've just never heard it. But there was one shot where the camera is following along a truck outside, and because all the trucks say "trust a bro," that must be the company or whatever. But then, literally, as soon as the door flies up, I hear the first dude jump out, go, bro, come on, or whatever. I was like, is this been a running joke that I've missed?
They've said bro a fair bit, yeah.
I want to know if every time one of those doors
especially
opened, the first dude was like, bro.
I guess other than the lead tracksuit, there's the other kind of larger grey-haired one. He says bro a lot, like him and the one that she talked out of going to Imagine Dragons.
Yeah, wow. Sorry, Imagine Dragons, you had a good run. Marine 5.
Can I say, it's hilarious. Like, this was something that was lost on me until maybe a week or so ago. That Hailee Steinfeld voiced in Arcane.
Yeah.
Which is where a large resurgence for Imagine Dragons has come from because of Enemy and their association with Arcane. And now she's taken the pickaxe to it and took it back down and tried to rip away all the good work they'd done there.
In case you didn't know, she's also Gwen Stacy in
maybe she got them the gig because she felt bad about how much Imagine Dragon slander was in Hawkeye. Probably not true because it takes a very long time to animate those.
Maroon 5 was okay though.
Yeah, Maroon 5. They're very popular, I guess. They're very mainstream.
So
unoffensive. Very unoffensive. But yeah, after she offered all that help, he's still pointing a gun at her. So yeah, take them out. Yeah, then you have this big fight between Kazi and Hawkeye, where he thinks he's going to have a good time. It's going to be a piece of cake, and Hawkeye just kicks his ass, as to be expected.
He doesn't kick his ass, he suplexes his ass.
He does the German suplex. Pretty brutal. Yeah. All the wrestling moves come into the MCU.
I was going to say, a lot of wrestling moves in the MCU lately.
I mean, yeah. I mean, Kate does a bunch of trying to do head scissors and that kind of stuff during her fight with King.
You would say that isn't so much wrestling, but more like her judo and possibly Brazilian jiu-jitsu and stuff.
Just let me have this.
Coming through.
At some point, Clint's like, hey, I need to get down to the ground, so I'm just going to jump out this window, grab this rope. Goes poorly. And he somehow ends up in the Christmas tree.
With the most adorable owl in the world.
The most adorable owl, which is there for I guess to set up the joke later on. That's the only reason it's there.
It is. It's just a bit. It's just 100%
It's so
a bit.
random.
It is a cute owl, though.
It is a
It's
cute
fucking amazing.
so Kate's obviously taking everybody out. Clint's stuck in the tree, so she's like, hey, I'm going to help you out. Takes out the support ropes, hits the tree with a acid arrow. And he falls down onto the ice rink, where he is promptly surrounded by all the tracksuit army, mafia army. I'm sure that's not trademarked.
Militia, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Kate joins him to try and help stave off the tracksuit mafia, and then they proceed to, take everybody out with various different trick arrows and that kind of stuff. Clearly the magnetic arrow was the most effective and helpful.
They just needed a bunch of those.
Yeah. Well, then they would have been stuck doing hand-to-hand combat with all of them, so, they would have needed
It's
a few more.
they all run in with guns and they all instantly just, get pulled away.
Yep.
Really makes me feel like when I play the Arkham games and I just spam the, grapple, pull away gun move, and I'm like, nah, fuck y'all. Hand-to-hand or nothing.
So we see a lot of cool trick arrows, a bunch of, I don't know how to describe them. Arrows that, fire out other tranquilizers and shit afterwards. The
Dude,
little...
going at this point, has to say, you know what? Watching Hawkeye, you're a little bit worried with Disney and the MCU, and could it be as PG as boxing glove arrow? No, some of this shit's fucking brutal. Some of this stuff was one dude just got his leg completely frozen. I was like, this shit is...
That frozen leg, I'm like, no, that just breaks, right? I'm watching that horror movie.
Is it frozen through, or is it on the outside?
I played Mortal Kombat, I know. That's a finisher, right?
It was just, there was so many, and especially of shots of the arrows actually going into somebody and actually piercing and
we were concerned that if we're ever going to face Kate having to deal with taking out people with arrows. She does not.
No fucks were given. What, this arrow that she jams into somebody and then it spits out needles at everybody else around that person? Yeah, no care or no worry is done about those ones. Completely controlled, no way that could have killed somebody.
Yeah, cool couple of lots of trick arrows. It seems like everybody is taken out, and then another truck comes flying out towards them over the ice rink. She pulls out the Pym arrow. This one shrinks it. And it's shit, what do we do now? And then the little owl comes along, picks up the truck and flies away. Listen, give us the owl miniseries that we deserve.
I don't want the owl miniseries. I want the semi-horror movie that features the three mafia people stuck inside that truck, and it's just a one shot in the truck cabin, and just stuff happening around the outside of them. I just want to.
That would be cool. It's hey, what are we going to do? I guess we have to go to San Francisco to try and figure out, get them to turn us back to normal size.
They finally get saved and they get out of the truck.
It's almost like the Rescuers. They have to travel across the country as tiny people.
Yep. And then, and then the truck goes back and they're like, oh, who saved us? And they step out and it's just a Imagine Dragon stood there looking at them.
Oh my god. At this point, they go their separate ways. Yelena shows up, is beating the shit out of Hawkeye, She's got his number. He's tired because he's had to fight all these people. Kate's going after her mum, who's just gotten into a car right before Kingpin comes along. He's already killed the driver, and he rips off the door again, showcasing strength.
That door was nothing to him. It was just see ya.
Yeah. So then we get the Kate Kingpin fight, in a toy store. He's just throwing it around constantly, like a rag doll. As you would expect from someone it's definitely again, bringing up the wrestling thing, it plays out the very much like the big giant versus the little underdog. Even the little arrows do nothing. Eventually, his downfall is that he breaks her trick arrows, leaves them scattered on the ground. And just when he thinks he's got her, she does the flick thing that she learnt.
I was going to say, remember 3 episodes where I was like, that's
100%
come back in an integral moment?
But also the flick thing for using a cufflink that she'd taken off him while doing trying to break his arm. I was like, nice. Cool.
Nice, yeah.
Part of me was sat there watching that fight, waiting for the lights to go out in the toy store and then Daredevil to rock up. I was like...
I would have been so angry. And everyone on the internet would have been so
happy. Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah, let the people in the title save themselves.
I don't want to keep making this whole episode thing, but I'm at a stage where I'm like, I quite enjoy watching MCU stuff, but it is not for the same reason that a lot of people enjoy watching MCU stuff. It's just so weird.
Yeah, so she blows up the Kingpin, and then proceeds to have a heart-to-heart with her mum, which ends with her mum going to jail.
You're gonna put your mum in jail on Christmas Eve? And Kate goes,
Bye,
what
Mum.
of it, bitch?
No, the line that I was like, fuck, that is some toxic shit, was what, is this what heroes do? I was like, oh shit. I'm like, that's, damn. You are heartless.
You murdered
bitch.
a man.
She's like, you don't know what the real world's like. You don't know what's out there. You have to murder people and fake deaths and get people locked up in jail. This is a very normal thing. You wouldn't survive without all this. It was like very I'm forgetting the word.
Gaslighting.
Gaslighting, yeah. It's like very gaslighting.
You gotta take responsibility for things, you know?
She's like, you wouldn't survive in the real world with nothing without me. I had to do all this fucked up shit. Yeah.
I mean, she had a point, given where we saw Kate at the start of the season. And she does get expelled from her school for destroying a cocktail, so.
No. She got inhibited with the debt. Fisk came to her and said, you need to do this. She may have been in a hole where at the time she had to say, yes, totally, I'll help you out to get her out of a dark situation. However, you can tell she happily played along because it got to a part where, and they make sure to tell you in the show, she not only paid back the bet, but she was the debt. She was doing very well for herself.
Yeah.
So she was 100% continuing to work with Fisk because she liked the money. And she was so that there's no but
there's no gray
she did
area.
it to save that. No, they make sure to give you enough information that you can say that she was doing it for herself. Yeah,
absolutely. So while all this is happening, Hawkeye and Yelena are having their moment. Yelena's beating up Hawkeye while talking about Natasha. This was beautifully done. Again, Jeremy Renner, some of his best work. Florence Pugh showing why, again, she's like one of the best young actresses in Hollywood at the moment. Yeah,
which is really good because...
While doing a Russian accent.
Yeah. It's really funny because obviously I feel like throughout this show and the majority of Black Widow, she hasn't really got... she's mostly doing one-liners and zingers and whatever. I feel like this is the most dramatic she's got to be within... this role so far, definitely more so even than she got to be in Black Widow, which was good. And then for the entirety of this show, if you hadn't watched Black Widow and this is how you're introduced to the character, you're just like, oh, this girl's fun and whatever. She's comedy. She's a comedy actress or something, maybe. I don't know. But her startup is in, dramatic stuff. This is the most comedic thing she's done, I guess.
Yeah. Which is crazy when you see her on Instagram and stuff. It's
she's a very funny person in real life.
Naturally
but
funny.
Most of her stuff that she does is she got to start, I guess, in indie dramas and whatever else. So
what she did, Lady Macbeth, I think was the first.
It was her big thing.
And
that's a
there was
fucked
a
up
BBC
movie.
drama or whatever.
That's the one thing I haven't watched of hers. I think
it comes at no.
Yeah, I can't remember. I know what you mean, but I think that I need to watch that so I can have 100% complete tracked profile.
Complete
which is a side
the
tangent.
Pugh cast, the Pugh universe. So they
talking about wrestling. She also plays
Paige in Fighting with My Family. Yeah. Crazy.
Damn.
Yeah, so I really, it's sweet. I would have liked Clint to have tried to explain exactly what happened. Listen, you went to this alien planet.
Yeah.
A part of me hoped that she showed up to Christmas Day, so they could have like a proper.
Like, that's the thing. I think we'll get that later, but that's the thing, right? How does he say, "Hey, I tried to fight her so I could sacrifice myself, but she just beat me, and then we were hanging off the edge." And then I was like, had my hand in hers, and then she
you have to even explain more than that. You have to be like, was it a planet? Why'd you go to the planet? Or there's a hill there where there's a crystal gem thing, and it's like part of an Infinity Stone. And when to get it, someone needs to sacrifice someone they love. And then there was like a Red Skull dude there at one stage, and he's like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And then we had to go there. This alternate timeline, it didn't really happen because you were like dead. Remember that time like you disappeared and then you came back, and we saw that in the Star Lover episode. Remember that was the thing that happened. Anyway, so to get the thing, one of us had to die. And we fought for it, and then she died, sacrificed herself. Like, it's a lot. It's just all like, what?
Sounds like sounds so complicated. It must be true.
Yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't kill him. Although it definitely looked like she was holding a gun to him at the end. But then they figured out it's just his hand.
I believe she was 100% going to kill him, but also believe that like Clint was in Clint, you could tell, was in that stage of, I'm going to continue to try and like talk this out.
Whatever happens, happens. Yeah.
Yeah. And if he had died, he'd have died. But you could tell he wasn't going to like protect his life. I'm pretty sure he would have just died. Like if that's what it came to, but he was just going to try and, keep just saying the truth, I guess, and just hope the truth prevailed, which it did. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So all's well that ends well, The LARPers are all successful and like making sure that the police know that they're the
Avengers?
good guys. They're kind of
Avengers.
Yeah. Jack is getting recruited to become a LARPer, even though he got a little bit of blood on his tie.
What's he say? What's he say? What is that?
A leisure activity.
A leisure activity, which I thought was a funny way to describe it.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, isn't fencing a leisure activity? Like, wouldn't practicing fencing be considered a leisure activity? No,
I don't think so. Survival techniques.
Oh,
yeah. So then, Hawkeye has a nice moment with Kate in the back of an ambulance, telling her sometimes you meet people who make you better. And man, this costume that I'm wearing, which we haven't discussed at all, but was pretty good. It's really good. It's elastic, that kind of stuff. Nice praise without praising directly,
Fits his masculine personality type, really.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So then we go, somehow they cross the country to wherever Clint's family is. Unknown.
Canada. I don't know.
It's like New Jersey, upstate New Jersey. You were an hour away from them the entire time? It's crazy. No. Yeah. He makes it home for Christmas. I don't know what time around Christmas. It could have been like 2 or 3 in the afternoon, but he still made it there in time.
Doesn't matter. All good Christmas movies, where the plot of the Christmas movie is getting home for Christmas, they always arrive on Christmas Day.
Yeah. So yeah, like you said, looks like he's going in alone. But then, it says Kate. Yeah. Kate, you come in. And she brings in Lucky, which they confirm his name is Lucky. They finally named the dog.
Not Pizza Dog.
Pizza Dog. She's brought in with open arms. Clint gives Linda Cardellini the watch. She turns it over. It's got a shield symbol on it, implying that she is a former shield person. A theory that we ruled out last week, but was true.
So, what I said is actually 100% right. Have you Googled what was on it?
No.
19.
So, it's Mockingbird.
Yeah.
So
okay.
that theory turned out to be 100% true, which is crazy because I threw that out there as such a wild card. But that is 100% what it is.
Abandoned it last week, so it doesn't count.
Well, because I was like, it was just a random thing, and I was like, nah, it's probably not that. But no, if you Google Agent 19, which is the number that's on the watch, 19, that is Mockingbird. Implying that she was Mockingbird, I guess, at some stage. Yeah, a Mockingbird at some stage during the MCU timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before Adrian Padalecki in Marvel's Agents of
That's
S.H.I.E.L.D.
not canon. Not canon.
Not canon at all.
Not canon.
Agent of the
So
Shield
close to
again.
having its own
Not
spin-off show.
canon.
No,
Focused on her.
No. I wonder how many fans watching, like, when this news story goes around, because there will be, this news story is like, oh, Lena Cardellini was a Mockingbird. How many hardcore Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans are going to be, like, super pissed?
Yeah. So then Hawkeye takes Kate out. After, apparently, he gives, like, Nerf guns to his kids, and they're super excited about it.
Sorry, the excitement from the youngest child about the Nerf gun, I was like, just bring it back a little bit. Let's just.
Your dad, like, fires arrows constantly. I'm pretty sure he's trained all of your kids.
Not when it's like, man, I've seen these. These are so cool.
It's like the smallest Nerf gun possible.
Yeah, I was like,
come on, kid. Oh, yeah.
Let's rein in a little bit,
So Kate and Clint go out and they burn the Ronin jacket. Yeah, and that's pretty much the end of it, except...
You know what? I will say, I would have thought that jacket would have been a bit harder to burn, Like, just a bit of...
Well, it doesn't instantly, like, melt or anything. So I would say it has a level of flame... resistance, but I would say if you put it in eventually it'll go.
I would love them to be standing there for a while. It's like, damn, I should have made it so flame resistant. This is a mistake. But yeah. Kate pitches a bunch of names. Lady Hawk. Nope. Hawk Eve. Lady Arrow. Hawkshot. I think that was it.
Yeah, and then Clint says...
What
about?
And then we cut to the title
card, Hawkeye.
Yeah. Let's jump into the end of credits, the mid credits scene, the reward. The last couple of series we've had like cool hints at the future. Listen, we got the Christmas gift of the entire song from Rogers the Musical. Performed whole 4 minutes 30 seconds. Performed.
I was just looking for
in full
Twitter, right? Last couple minutes to see what the reaction is. Hashtag Hawkeye. Just scrolling through the latest here. People are pissed. And I'm about that. Everyone's pissed, but I've seen at least maybe at least 1 out of every 10 tweets, I would say, as a good ratio, as I've scrolled past here, has been someone complaining about the end credit scene, saying that they wasted their time watching the credits, which if you waste your time watching the credits, couple minutes of your life to be disappointed that that's it, how about you get a fucking life, all right? How about you get a fucking life, you piece of shit? Jesus
because,
Christ.
You're not sat in the cinema, you're not sat...
Just
you
fast
sat at
forward.
home. You just, I was at my PC, I just
can watch it at any time.
I just moused over the preview until I saw it change the little pictures, and I was like, "Oh, there's the start of the end credits scene."
Other people are saying that it's it ruined the show. The ending. Someone else talks about the ending, meaning the end credits, as a huge disappointment and doesn't do anything for the MCU. And I'm like, which just to tie into what I was saying at the start, and now that I've seen this, oh boy. The end credits things are supposed to be just... I want to go back to when they were just not expected. Now everyone wants too much from these things and expects too much from them. That's it, MCU. That's it. Kevin Feige, if you're listening, we're going back. Taking them right back. End credit scenes are now only fun little... funny tidbit things. No more connecting to other things. No more setups for other characters. Let's go back to the beginning of this shit. Just
the beginning of
zingers.
cinema.
I only want Jeff Goldblum falling out of fucking spaceships. That's the level of shit I want happening here. I just want fun. I want Avengers having
Groot in his teenage Groot in his room.
Yep. That's good. That's fine. Avengers having whatever that food was that I can't remember.
Shawarma.
Tony Shawarma. That's all fine. No more setting up shit. No more connecting shit. It's done. We don't deserve it.
At the start of the season, you were all demanding to see the entire musical number. They cancelled. They edited out whatever footage they were going to have for these end credits. They're like, demand is so high. let's put the entire musical number in here instead of that. So it's your own fault, is what I have to say. But yeah, that's
Personally, end credit scene.
cool. That's fine.
I think it's funny. Why not have that as the thing? It's fine.
Yeah,
Whatever.
makes sense. Get the spirit of Christmas.
Who fucking
I
cares?
need
It's
to
an end
ask,
credit
right?
scene.
Because
What a musical number.
I walked away during this and listened to it in my headphones while I was doing other things to prepare for the podcast. Who was the guy in like the red? Like the I don't know. There was like I couldn't work out if it was.
There was like a
Ant-Man.
Nova. There was like a Nova Corp person there. Was
Like
it that
yeah, it
person?
had like a
No?
symbol that was. I was like,
What,
who is this person?
the
There was, like, a
Asian
guy-
dude?
Yeah, with
That was
glasses.
Ant-Man.
Was Ant-Man? Why
Remember
is
in the
he-
first episode they make the joke, he wasn't even there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hawkeye
I
says,
can't remember.
He wasn't
that.
even there then, or whatever.
Yeah, okay, no, that makes sense. Okay.
Yep. Bold choice to recast Loki as Black. That's interesting. But yeah, that's, fun, silly thing. So what's next? What do we hope for next? Season
From
2?
these characters, or like what?
Yeah. From these characters. Of course we know Echo is coming. What that looks like, I don't know at this point.
It's Echo traveling around. Like it's so I actually don't 100% know. I would say put Daredevil in Echo, like slot him into there because they have a
Drop him in
have a
like
thing.
a few episodes in.
Yeah, like something like that. Like he's
It's like
sort
let her get a couple episodes under her belt and then bring him in to get the major pop. So everybody's talking about it.
Otherwise, my big dream, which won't happen because it just won't. But no, it would just be like 6 episodes of her like traveling around, getting her shit sorted out. It would just be a straight up drama. There would be no big villain or anything. It would just be a character study. I'm really glad that she already has a season in the works because like as far as unknown actresses or like not really big known actresses go, she's definitely the standout. Like Florence Pugh, I love her in this, right? But
yeah,
she's
we all know Florence Pugh.
Yeah, it's like everyone
You
else.
know what to
is
expect.
Great. Yeah, that actress that plays Maya, who I can't even remember the name.
Alaqua Cox.
There you go. She's fantastic in this. So she's definitely like, if I had to call out one person who sort of makes their mark in this show, it's 100% her. And I'm really glad that as I was saying, the one thing I'm disappointed by the end of this is, I didn't really feel like I got enough. Like everyone else seems to get some closure or something, but they literally like fake out her shooting Kingpin. But ultimately, I don't know.
Also kills her best friend.
Yeah, and I don't know. Yeah, and you don't get to see how that affects her and all that sort of stuff, which is the one bad thing I'll say about the show. But that's 100% because it's all just set up for Echo. But whatever.
We'll say one little tidbit that could be interesting. Obviously, she goes back to her apartment. It's like she looks like she's packing her bags or anything, and she looks at a photo of her,
the guy,
Kazi, and no, somebody else.
Her dad's.
Her dad.
No, her dad's like in another photo, but there's
No, it's her dad. No, it's
You
her
sure?
dad.
It's her
I'm
dad,
1000%
Kazi,
sure.
her.
Yeah, it's her dad.
And then
I thought it was like some random
It's-
person.
it's a little
She
bit-
looks
it's
at
a-
it, thinks of him, and then goes, fuck that motherfucker, and then she leaves and goes to him.
Okay, my
like that
bad.
was the trigger. Yeah.
Jeez, Ashley, just pay a bit.
I
more
thought it was like
attention.
a picture of like 3 breast fans, and like we're gonna find out who that third person is.
3 breast fans.
breast. It's been a long day.
Are we all? I reckon though, because she's a character I know sweet fuck all about. So if I had some more spare time, like, because we're not doing as much over the next couple of weeks, if I have some spare time, I wouldn't mind actually like reading a book that she's a main character in or something like that, because I've never read anything with her in it. So
Guys, we've actually got a bit of a break now from Marvel TV shows. We got Disney stuff on the way, but
Yeah,
Marvel stuff not so much.
We'll get to that at the very end. But yeah, what are we hoping for Kate Bishop? Do we want do we want Hawkeye season 2?
Hawkeyes.
No, I think it's Hawkeye because I think it's about season 2 will be about Clint passing over the mantle of Hawkeye to Kate Bishop,
Making connections, getting her working with somebody.
You know, maybe introduce her to Captain America and stuff, and be like, hey.
I just want her and Yelena. That's the show, to be honest.
I feel like...
See, I want them to have their normal shows, and then I just want them to have like a miniseries of like them just traveling around places, like eating food, like sightseeing.
Yeah. going out to bars.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like that just sounds like you want Hailee Steinfeld and Florence Pugh to do that, not the characters.
Why not both?
Why not both?
Listen, I do, but I also want Florence Pugh to do it with a Russian accent. Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like it's hard to pinpoint because like if you try and go, okay, like Kate Bishop as a character, what would she do? Like what she do the morning after Christmas? Maybe she, what's the conversation she's having? Is it, Hawkeye, what do we do next? And he's like, well, I'm going to chill with my family. So like, no offense, like you're always going to like have a home here if you want it, but like,
I don't think he does that. I think it's why I think he wants to pass over the mantle, and that's where the conversation was going at the end of this episode.
Because he wants to retire. Yeah.
Yeah, he wants to properly be able to retire and spend the time with his family, but he wants to set Kate up to be able to continue on as that figurehead.
Yeah. So you still have Clint available as a mentor and like someone you can have dropped in one episode as a call for help sort of thing or whatever. Or else I guess Kate has to go out and find her own trouble at this point. I don't think there's any specific direction because she is at this point, she is free and she's like all young superheroes, I guess, where she, like presumably she just wants to get out there and start helping people. And that's the direction you can take her character.
Do you think she's going to be involved with maybe the storyline of Yelena and her involvement with the Thunderbolts and everything, like trying to break that up or get Yelena out of that? Because obviously there is some reason that Yelena is involved with the Countessa and that whole thing, and there has to be, I think there's got to be a lot more to that, an explanation to what's going on there.
Probably. My question is like, if we're building towards a Thunderbolts or a Young Avengers or like whatever, like where you start crossing it, some big crossover with all these characters that we're introducing, are they all getting like movies separately? Like, because this is the thing I start to question now. There's people out there, I know it sounds ridiculous to us who watch everything, but there's going to be people out there who only watch the movies.
But I don't think you have to I don't think you have to watch everything anymore. Like,
I think there's a potential for a Thunderbolts TV special miniseries in the vein of the Defenders, because the people we've seen have kind of recruit so far. But the people we've seen to recruit have appeared in Disney Plus series. So
so maybe they're building it towards a Disney Plus.
I think thing. We've already got it in. Like, if the MCU keeps going to more like comic books, with the Marvel comic books, you don't have to read every single Marvel comic. There is like the mainline ones through that you're recommended to read for the overall story, but everything else is pick and choose and consume what you want. And I think if this continues to be like that and grow like that, I think that's great.
Cool. Anything else you want to discuss about Hawkeye? We'll say
show.
Again, they set it up earlier in the season, but Hawkeye shooting an arrow through an arrow to take out 3 guys at once. Very impressive. Well, somehow Kazzy caught the arrow. Very impressive.
I was also very impressed with that. I was like, damn, he fucking caught an arrow. I was waiting for the arrow to explode in his hand, though. Like, I was waiting for that to be the bit where he caught it, and then Hawkeye be like, yeah, I meant you to catch it, idiot. Other thing is... No, okay, I don't want to... No, I won't, because it's technically a spoiler for Spider-Man, and we're not doing those, so that's fine.
We'll talk about it after we finish recording.
Yeah. Yes.
My most marvelous moment is just Yelena going with the prolonged pronunciation every time she says Kate's name.
Kate Bishop.
Kate Bishop.
It's interesting. Apparently, it's a sign of respect in Russia to call somebody by full name. Yeah.
But it's not even the full name. She always like, Kate. Like, it's always like a prolonged, like, Kate Bishop.
Yeah. Yeah. So, going forward, we don't really have anything confirmed.
Well, we do.
Except
we just don't have release dates.
We don't have release dates. Obviously, we do have Doctor Strange, the And the multiverse of madness, the multitude of the multiverses of madness. That's coming May 6th. Of course, we just had Spider-Man No Way Home. You should go check out our 2 hour plus long spoiler cast that we just did on that, where we just break down everything and everything. Even though I've listened to other things since and heard their complaints, and then I have counters to those complaints, and have no way to respond because I've got no platform to. It's like, listen, he didn't just change things because they didn't get an MIT. Is all I'm saying. They got rejected by every single college. Anyway, yeah. So I guess with obviously the next series is either Moon Knight or Ms. Marvel.
I was about to say, I just brought up a full list if anyone wants, in case everyone's forgotten, want to recap what's actually coming. So, yeah. Moon Knight, which we've seen footage of. Ms. Marvel, which we've seen footage of. She-Hulk, which we've seen a picture of, or like a couple of seconds.
We've seen a couple of scenes, yeah.
Secret Invasion, which we saw a shot of Samuel L. Jackson from. The Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special.
I feel like that's going to come next year.
Yeah, I thought that's going to come next year. Ironheart, which I don't think we've seen anything from. Armor Wars, nothing. The Iron Groot thing.
I feel like it's very far away. That's
Wakanda,
not so far.
Echo.
Very far.
Loki Season 2 was announced. What If Season 2 was announced. Agatha, House of Harkness.
That's very far away.
X-Men 97. I don't know if that actually counts.
That's 2023 at the earliest.
Spider-Man Freshman Year. I don't know if that counts. Marvel Zombies. And that's it. And then the movies announced, since I've just got open, so I might as well fucking continue anyway. So Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Thor, Love and Thunder is July. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, or Black Panther 2, whatever it ends up being called, is apparently November. The Marvels...
That's if that ever gets finished filming.
Yeah. The Marvels, Captain Marvel 2 is 2023 February. Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is May 2023. Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania is July 28. So currently there's only 2 movies set for... Well, actually, three movies set for next year.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange, Thor, and Black Panther.
Yeah. So, yeah. Ms. Marvel's already been dated for summer 2022, so sometime mid next year. So in that case, either Moon Knight or She-Hulk would be the next series we see. So it's going to be a bit of a wait. So, thank you very much for listening. Let us know what you thought of Hawkeye. By going to explosion.com/Twitter or jump to Discord at explosion.com/Discord. If you want to help us out here at All New Marvelcast, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or in Podchaser, or tell people about the show, or rate the podcast on Spotify. That's new. And if you really like this episode, thoughts worth $1, head on over to our Ko-fi page at explosion.com/support. Join, we've obviously got a catalogue of MC Rewatch stuff you can go through. We've done all the different spoiler casts for this year. This is the first time in this podcast that we've kind of not had a clear next time we're coming back. But yeah.
I'll tell you when.
We'll let you know. Do we need to do a Netflix Daredevil rewatch? I don't know.
No, incorrect. I do not have the time or the want. I'll tell you when we'll be back, though. January.
Well, for what?
Some fucking trailer will drop, I'll tell you that. We'll record
That's true. That's true.
Discussion.
Maybe this does open the door to maybe do some comic stuff, or who knows. Yeah. So keep your eyes on this podcast feed and join us next time for another All New Marvelcast.